Before Disney bought Marvel, we had legendary movies like Blade, Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, and Spider-Man. These films had darker tones, intense action, and powerful storytelling. But after Disney took over, Marvel changed completely, turning superheroes into jokes, weakening powerful characters like Hulk, introducing forgettable villains, and forcing unnecessary comedy to make everything kid-friendly, all for the sake of profit. Now, let's break down how Disney ruined Marvel year by year. In Iron Man, Tony Stark was a reckless, womanizing, alcoholic genius, a character with real flaws. He had depth, but in Iron Man 2, Disney's influence started to show. Instead of embracing the darker aspects of Tony's struggles, like his alcoholism, which was a major part of the demon in a bottle storyline, Disney watered it down to a silly birthday party scene where Tony gets drunk in the suit. The result? A cartoonish joke instead of a serious character moment. This set the tone for the rest of the MCU. Iron Man became less of a complex anti-hero and more of a quippy Disney mascot. We all remember how ruthless and terrifying Hulk was in The Incredible Hulk. He was a true monster force of destruction. But after Disney took over, everything changed. First, they softened his look. The Incredible Hulk design made him look like an unstoppable beast, but Disney turned him into a more cartoonish, friendly giant. Then came the real damage. They made Hulk a comedy act. In the comics, Hulk has moments of rage, power, and depth, but never outright slapstick comedy. Under Disney, Hulk became the dumbest big green dog Black Widow's pet, cracking jokes instead of smashing enemies. It's an insult to the character and a disappointment to real comic fans who grew up with the real, rage-filled Hulk. Disney never disrespected Captain America the way they did with Hulk. The First Avenger and The Winter Soldier were ridiculously amazing films. Steve Rogers' character was written with depth, and audiences connected with him. But over the years, Disney's money-driven mindset started showing. Now, they've made Sam Wilson the new Captain America. This isn't just about moving on or passing the torch, it's a calculated business move. Replacing Steve Rogers means they cut down on big salaries while still cashing in on the Captain America brand. Even Deadpool joked about this. Disney would bring back Chris Evans just to kill him off, all for the sake of a salary cut. It's not about storytelling anymore. It's about making the most money with the least effort. Thor's character arc under Disney has been an absolute mess. They started with a darker, more serious tone in The Dark World, but when those movies didn't perform as expected, Disney decided to shift gears. Just like they did with Hulk, they turned Thor into a walking joke. You can clearly see the tone shift in Thor, Ragnarok. That movie was packed with jokes, with almost no real character development. Take away the humor and the final iconic shot, and there's not much left. But shockingly, Infinity War brought Thor back as an unstoppable force. That single movie made him one of the most beloved MCU heroes. But it didn't last long. After Infinity War, Disney once again played with Thor, turning him into a joke. Love and Thunder was the ultimate disrespect. Somehow, Jane Foster, who had just received her powers, was portrayed as stronger than Thor himself. When Gwen Stacy died in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it had a massive emotional impact that fans still feel today. But when Jane Foster died, it felt hollow, with no real emotional connection. Instead of being the god of thunder, Thor was reduced to cracking dad jokes and acting dumb. Disney completely changed Thor from a mighty warrior into a joke, and now it's hard to take him seriously anymore. Disney's recent Marvel movies feel more like Disney princess films than actual superhero films. Ant-Man, Quantumania, and the Marvels were complete garbage. Disney's approach to making films more lighthearted has significantly toned down its villains, often reducing their impact and making them forgettable. A prime example is Gorr the God Butcher. In the comics, he's one of Thor's most terrifying enemies, a relentless killer who slaughters gods without mercy. But in Thor: Love and Thunder, Disney turned him into a character who spends most of his screen time lurking in the shadows and playing hide-and-seek with kids. Instead of showcasing his terrifying presence, they focus more on making the film a comedy, completely undermining his character. The same issue applies to other villains. Ultron, one of the most dangerous threats in Marvel Comics, was reduced to a sarcastic ad that got defeated way too easily. Taskmaster, an iconic character with a unique ability to mimic fighting style, was turned into a generic, silent henchman. MODOK, who could have been a serious villain, became nothing more than a joke. Even Namor, one of Marvel's most powerful anti-heroes, was toned down to fit the family-friendly formula. And then there's Kang, the supposed big bad of the multiverse saga. He was built up as a terrifying, godlike conqueror in Loki, but in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, he was embarrassingly defeated. This completely ruined his credibility as a major threat. Why? Because Disney prioritizes making movies fun for kids rather than respecting the source material. This pattern keeps repeating. Great villains are introduced, only to be watered down and easily defeated. instead of crafting truly menacing antagonists. But when it comes to series, Loki is an absolute masterpiece. His character transformation wasn't a downgrade like Hulk or Thor. It was an elevation. Fans now celebrate Loki as the true god he was always meant to be. It's funny how the same studio that ruined so many characters somehow made Loki one of the best things in the MCU. At this point, people care more about Loki than the Avengers. That being said, Secret Invasion was a massive letdown. The trailer gave Winter Soldier vibes, making fans expect a serious, grounded spy thriller, but the actual show, it was a disaster. Every single scene felt like a slap in the face to Nick Fury. He might not have superpowers, but his intelligence and strategic mind made him powerful. This series threw all of that away, completely destroying his character. Post-credit scenes have become Disney's ultimate lifesaver. No matter how bad the movie is, they always throw in an exciting post-credit scene to keep fans talking and distract from the film's flaws. Take Ant-Man Quantumania for example. The movie was a disaster week story, bad CGI, and Kang, the so-called next Thanos-level villain, getting beaten by ants. But what did Disney do? They dropped a post-credit scene featuring a council of Kang variants, teasing his massive presence in the MCU. That scene alone made fans speculate about the future, shifting attention away from how bad the actual movie was. It's a formula they've been using for years. Disney has mastered the art of using post-credit scenes as a distraction. Fans walk out of the theater discussing what's coming next instead of questioning why the movie they just watched was so disappointing. It's a cash grab strategy to deliver a mediocre film, throw in a big post-credit tease, and make sure audiences stay invested for the next one. Disney has been trying to cut costs by replacing overpaid actors and pushing new faces into young Avengers. But let's be real, it didn't work. Fans didn't connect with these new characters, and the box office numbers proved it. After multiple failures, Disney finally realized its mistakes and decided to give Deadpool and Wolverine full creative freedom. And guess what? That's exactly why Deadpool 3 is on track to hit the billion-dollar mark even as an R-rated film. Now, Disney is scrambling back to its iconic characters. They're rebooting Fantastic Four and bringing back Daredevil, hoping to restore fan interest. With these upcoming projects and a return to more mature storytelling, the future of the MCU might finally start looking brighter. Even though Disney has made questionable decisions, they did something undeniably good for the MCU. They brought in a massive audience. By using their signature formula comedy and lighthearted storytelling, Disney expanded Marvel's reach beyond comic book fans. The wider, family-friendly appeal turned the MCU into a global box office juggernaut. Before Disney took over, the MCU had a darker, more grounded tone, similar to DC. While those films were well made, they didn't always perform well financially. Disney changed that by prioritizing mass appeal, turning Marvel into a billion-dollar franchise. Love it or hate it, Disney's approach made the MCU the most successful movie universe in history.